Hey, what's up, people? We got a real blast from the past here today. We're going to be taking a look at this RadioShack catalog number 63-5042A talking wristwatch. Now, the earliest reference that I could find to this thing was in this 1994 RadioShack catalog. And this is actually kind of cool. There's this website here that's appropriately named RadioShackCatalogs.com. And I looked in this 1994 catalog. And we can actually turn the pages here. It's pretty neat. But if we look right here on page 165, we have watches. So let's go to page 165. And if we took a look right here in this corner, we can see right up there, we have this very same exact watch. And it says it's number 5 there. So if we look right here, talking watch, voice announces time hourly, displays time and date, with CR2025 battery, which is one of the things we're going to be taking a look at here today. This watch, if you didn't notice, when it was talking, the LCD was kind of like dimming out. And we could have bought this back in the day for a total of $19.99. In today's money, that comes out to about just a little bit over $42. And they had a bunch of other talking things too, like this calculator here, which I may or may not have one or two on hand. And this talking pen watch, I actually had one of these when I was in middle school. Unfortunately, I no longer have this thing anymore. And I've been trying to find one, but I have not been able to find one. But this was another neat little thing. They kind of really pushed for these like talking devices. If we look at the next page here, we also have some other talking calculators. So I don't know how successful this whole push for little talking gadgets ever went, but they had a lot of that sort of stuff. So going back to the one that we have on hand here, let's go ahead and unbox this and see what the experience would have been like back then. And wait, you have 2 of these, you say? No, people, this is video. We can do magic. We can unbox the watch if we desire. So yeah, I just put it back in the box. But anyways, well, if we take a look at the box here, it says that it tells you the time in a pleasant synthesized voice. So yeah, let's go ahead and take the rest of this out. Not much to look at on the box itself here. Their boxes were like pretty basic and, just kind of told you what was in the package. But so this is the watch right there in this little like molded little packaging. And then we have our little manual back here, little owner's manual. Please read before using this equipment. Yeah, you don't want to hurt yourself. I mean, we're just going to see like all the basic functionality and stuff like in this little manual, how to turn the alarm on and off, how to set the time, set the alarm, how to hear announcements. So yeah, not like anything crazy in here or anything like that. But a couple of things I could tell you just from like playing around with it. There's a couple buttons here. This one right here can turn the alarm like, okay, I had to talk. So you can set the alarm on and off with this button here. If you hit this button right here, it'll turn on the hourly report. So every hour, it'll read off the time. So that sets that right there. So you can also like, just turn both of those off. There's a little button right here. When you push that one, that's what does the talking. And this little button here looks like it's a little bit, I don't know. It looks like it's been kind of pushed in a bit or something. So maybe we'll take a look and see what's going on with that. So other than that, this watch is actually in pretty good shape. The back here looks pretty good. None of these screws look like they are like stripped or anything. This little sticker right here that says 12A99. I think that might be like a serial number because there's also a matching little sticker right here on the box that also says 12A99. So this was apparently kept in a pretty good shape. I bought this on eBay actually. So the bands here, they look like they're all in pretty good shape. And I'm just kind of wondering if this was even ever used. Like maybe it just lived in its little box here for most of its life. So, I mean, there's a little bit of like dusty looking stuff right here in the speaker grill, but nothing looks worn. Now, other than the battery needing to be replaced, there is one other thing that I noticed about the LCD. If we increase the time to something that has like a 1 in the front, like say 10 or 12 or 11, we can see right there that it's missing one of the segments. I don't know how the LCD itself is making contact with the rest of the circuitry there. If it's like one of those little zebra strips, then maybe we can do something about it. If it's one of those ribbon cables that's like adhered to the LCD and that goes to the board, then that might be a little more difficult to do something about. But since I had to replace the battery and take a look at that, I figured we'd open it up and take a look at it together. So I'll just grab a screwdriver, set this down somewhere where it's not going to get all damaged, and we'll open it right up. All right, here we go. So I just got it resting on this microfiber cloth, and I've got a small Phillips screwdriver. And let's go ahead and remove the back. And that came off without any effort or anything, so at least these screws don't feel like they've been stripped or anything, at least not the first two. All right, so that's all 4 screws undone. All right, let's see what we've got in here. I've never actually seen the inside of one of these. And there's a little rubber gasket right here. Just got to be careful not to tear that. And so that is the back. Oh, man. Oh, it's got one of those strips that goes from the LCD to the board. Those are fun. Anyways, it's got a little foam pad right here. It looks like that puts pressure up against the board and the basically it's a little ribbon cable. So the problem's probably not going to be on this end. It's going to be on the LCD end. And this thing here is loose. This is supposed to clip the battery to the rest of the holder there. So yeah, let's see what happens if we push on this ribbon here. But like I said, I really doubt that it's going to be an issue on this side. Nah, that changes. There it is. Oh. Hey. It felt like it was somewhere right here in the middle. That's where I like touched and then it came back. Now the problem with these is that they're kind of like glued in place basically. Maybe we'll look at it up close with the microscope and see if we can tell like if, you know, there's something up in here. Hopefully it's not like broken or something, because that's going to be even worse. But anyway, there's the battery, so you can just remove that. So I actually want to go in here like a little bit like kind of deeper and like see what's actually on the board and stuff, see what this little speaker looks like and all that. And I'm going to try my best to not damage it in the process. But there's a couple screws right here that are holding this sort of like ring right there for the positive terminal of the battery. This screw right there is not cooperating. There it goes. I think some tweezers right here are going to do wonders. And the entire assembly is coming out. That screw does not want to release, so I'll just leave it alone. I carefully try to flip this over. There's a couple of wires right there holding that board to the speaker. Oh, they are long enough, though. I should be able to flip this over. We can take a look at the other side and see what that looks like. Okay, there we go. That's what the other side looks like. We'll look at it up closer here in a sec. But a few things that I can tell is that looks like maybe the reason why that button there is kind of pushed in a bit. See, I can push it back out. It has like a little peg here that would make contact against this sort of like little piece of leaf spring right here, and that makes contact against the board right there on that edge. So maybe this here needs to be bent out just a little bit or something. Okay, so I guess it's not the fact that it's bent in or anything. It actually looks like it's crooked. You can see right there. Oh, actually, this right here is broken off the board. So that should be soldered onto the board right there. And for some reason, it looks like it's popped out. So it looks like this thing needs a little bit of repair after all. Well, good thing we're in here. And look at that speaker. It's a 64 ohm speaker. And it's held in place with 2 screws right there. I guess we can take a look at that while we're in here. All right, got both screws out of there. Let's see if I can lift it up here. There it comes. So that there is the back side of the grill. Looks like it's got a... I thought that was like maybe foam or something. It's not. It has like a little piece of like filter material right there just to kind of hide the speaker a little bit. Does have a little rubber gasket in here. You can kind of see me like pushing up against it right there. So it's got like a little bit of sealing right there. I'm not entirely sure if this is supposed to be like waterproof or anything like that. No, I just looked at the manual. It doesn't say anything about like being water resistant or anything like that. But it looks like they at least added like a few things to kind of help like, you know, mitigate the problems of like water getting into it, like with this little gasket right here on the back cover, and then that gasket right there around the speaker. Because really the only place that water can get into through the speaker side is like around the edges, because this is just a plastic diaphragm. That was kind of ugly in there, but I mean, it works. Okay, so there we got the board completely in the shot there. And so these little black strips coming from the LCD itself, those are the traces that are going to be making contact with these traces on the board. So it could be that like maybe one of these is kind of loose or something. Looks like some of these are not very well aligned. We'll magnify it a bit here later, but looks like they're just kind of like basically like on the edge. So other stuff around here, that's the negative contact there. This is where the ring there has come off of the board. So it doesn't look like it pulled up a trace or anything. It looks like it just sort of got like popped off. And I'm guessing what must have happened is at some point somebody maybe like opened it up, and when they put it back together, this piece right here got stuck on the peg of the button there that was kind of like pushed in. And so maybe it just popped this off the board like that. And that's why this is out like that. But I should be able to solder that back in place once I get it popped in. Maybe I'll like clean off all the old solder there first, and that should take care of that. There's a speaker. So we've got a lot of brown sort of adhesive in there for the coil and the little wires coming off of the coil there in the center going out. And on the back side there, we can see 64 ohms, and then they just have these two pieces of like enamel coated wire going from the board to the speaker. That's the back side of the board there. It looks like there'd be a little button right here. Don't know what that would do. Maybe it's like a reset all button or something like that. Got a little crystal. Looks like a capacitor right there. And yeah, basically this has everything. The clock keeping circuitry and all the talking stuff. So, I mean, not a whole lot of stuff to look at in here. It's all pretty much contained on this little cob there. As far as this ribbon cable going to the LCD goes, I can't tell just like this if something's kind of like peeled off or something. It's very difficult to tell. This doesn't look like it's got too sharp of a bend, except maybe like right in this area. So I don't think it would have like broken in the middle of the actual ribbon. Now here's an extreme close-up of the ribbon cable and the pads on the board. And it doesn't appear that any of these have separated or lifted up from the board, but you can see how it's definitely not aligned. And some of them are kind of like off to the edge. This right here, I'm not sure if I did that or if that was already there. I mean, I haven't like rubbed up on it or anything like that. Oh, that was just a little piece of debris or something. I thought it was like actually torn open, but no, it's not. So yeah, look, going right along right there, you see how that one, and it's kind of hard to see here because of the glare, but you can see how it's just maybe like half of that trace is actually making contact with the pad on the board. So kind of similar there. And some of them, I don't know if it's just that maybe the traces on the board weren't the exact same spacing as the ribbon, because as you can see, like some of them fit better than others. So, and then that's where it bends. Doesn't appear to be like cracked or anything. And then on the glass side, it's a little hard to see because I have to try to tilt it so that we can actually see the trace inside of the glass itself. We can see how the ribbon cable is actually adhered to the back of the glass, and how there's that trace that goes off into the LCD, like same as here. We can kind of see right there along that edge of where the ribbon cable isn't like completely attached or adhered to the glass, but it doesn't appear that like any of the actual traces here have separated from the glass. If we like go all the way down, I'll try to keep that angle so that we can see the traces on the glass. But as I go along, got a piece of debris right there, and I just you can see how it kind of left like a little bit of finger grease right there just from touching it. But yeah, none of the traces look like they're separated. Everything looks good, so I'm not entirely sure where the issue is. And I do not really want to like pull off the screen and like risk damaging anything else, since I mean, for the most part it works fine. looking at this joint where the battery holder was supposed to be soldered onto the board, it actually doesn't look like it was ever soldered in properly. But what I'm going to do, instead of like cleaning everything off and everything and redoing it, is I'm just going to put a little bit of rosin activated flux right here. Just kind of get a little bit of a drop in there. And then I'm just going to take the soldering iron, and while I kind of hold it in place and squeeze it down with the set of tweezers here, I'm just going to heat up that joint. And hopefully it'll just kind of drop in there. There it goes, just like that. I'm going to hold it here for a second, make sure that it hardens. And there we go. Let's just clean it up a little bit there. Some of that extra flux. All right, that is much better. So now this side here looks a lot better aligned now than it was. So that button there should not be looking like it's been permanently pushed in anymore. And with that battery terminal fixed, I'm just going to go and head and reassemble the watch. And I'm not going to mess with that ribbon going from the LCD to the board. This stuff is, unless you really absolutely like need to mess with it, it's kind of finicky, and I'm at risk of messing it up even more and getting it like to detach from the board without being able to attach it. I would have to do some research as to how to like properly adhere those, but I think would require like something that can like uniformly heat the whole thing without like burning it up. And I was saying that I thought it was going to be like this type of strip that was going to be like between the LCD and the board, or at least I was hoping that it was going to be like this type of strip. This stuff here, like it's easy to just like detach and like reposition and stuff, and a lot of the times that'll get things working again, but I do not like this type of ribbon. All right, so just need to try to reposition the speaker back in here, and then just clamp it down with the screws. Okay, and I want to make sure that there's no like excessive dust or anything on the glass of the LCD. Just gonna give it a quick little wipe here. That looks pretty good. Try to get it to fit back in here without damaging it. Make sure that the little leaf springs here push up on those buttons. Okay. Actually, this one here has not gone in all the way yet. Neither has this one. There we go. See, so it'd be very easy to just like try to push this like all the way down when these contacts haven't cleared the little shaft there yet. So right now it looks like, yeah, that's good right there. You can see when I push on it, pushes down on that little leaf there, and right there. So that's all good. All right, put the two screws back in here. Okay, what does the front look like? That still looks good. So let's go ahead and put a new battery in here. And I think this is a new battery. It was in a pack of other batteries that I had, but it looked like I had taken it out previously. I don't know why, but if I put it back, it must be good still. So hopefully it's good. So that just fits right in there. And then I have to get that little bracket that fits over the top of it. So this looks like it just goes from top to bottom like that, and then it should just snap into place. That does not want to snap into place. All right, there we go. I got it. Is it working? Oh no, it's even worse. Ah, well, let's see. What happens if I... see, I think it's... Yeah, maybe it is the board side that's not working properly, because when I push on it, I can get the segments there to come back on. So let's just put the cover back on and see if it pushes on the ribbon there enough to make it make a good contact. Maybe that's the entire reason why they included this little foam pad right there inside the case. Oh, can't forget the gasket. All right, this looks like whoever last took it apart did not put this gasket on properly. It looks like it kind of got pinched right there. Kind of see where it looks like it's been a little squeezed, so it was like inside of the case when it should have been like inside of this groove right here. So I'm going to try to position it properly and make sure that the case, or the back of the case, goes on and holds it down where it's supposed to, like right there. All right, put all 4 of these screws on. And these just thread into plastic, so I want to make them nice and firm, but I don't want to like strip the plastic out. And 4. This one did not want to cooperate. There we go. All right, let's see. Did it fix it? Nope. You gotta be kidding me. Well, at least the buttons look better. Yeah, even with this new battery, when it talks, you could kind of see it, the segments there kind of like dim out a little bit. Yeah, so I'm pushing on the ribbon there on the board with the flat end of this screwdriver bit. And there's a spot right here where if I push down on the ribbon, I can get some of the segments there to come back. If I can find it again. Right there. You can see I can get a lot of them to come back. This is like seriously the worst type of interface between an LCD and a board, in my opinion. All right, well, it's time for science. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got a piece of parchment paper that I'm going to attach a piece of Kapton tape to, because this stuff is pretty wide. I think it's like 3/4 inch. All right, so I'm just going to put a piece of this stuff down right here. Okay, now I'm going to, let's measure about how wide this is right there on the end of the board. About 3 millimeters or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice a piece of this Kapton tape, like about a 3 millimeter strip. All right, so there's my strip. And I just realized I don't have all of my ceiling lights on. Whoops. There we go. That's much better. I was wondering why it looks so dark in here. All right. So here is my 3 millimeter wide strip. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to lay it down on top of that strip, like all the way across. So let's zoom in on that. Okay. So now I need to try to peel the end here off. And the reason I left this little tab here so that I can grab it from there without touching the tape too much. And I'm just using parchment paper because it detaches much easier from the parchment paper than if I would have put it on something else. All right, there we go. I got a pretty good lead on that end. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I think I got it. Nope, it's crooked. Okay, if I do that like that, I can probably get it a little straighter. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm just going to snip off the end over here. Well, slice is the more appropriate term, I guess. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got this little pencil here set to 150 degrees C. I'm hoping that's enough and it's not too hot. And then I've got a chisel tip on the end. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently rub on the on top of the Kapton there, and hopefully that'll reactivate the adhesive in the ribbon cable and get it to re-adhere to the contacts on the board. And maybe that'll get our segments back, because it's looking pathetic. So yeah, let's give this a shot. This is hot. Though let's look at it up close. Okay, and it looks like I didn't quite position the Kapton tape with the edge of the board there, but I mean, this should be enough just from right here. So here I go. And this is a little harder to drag than I thought it would be. It's putting up quite a bit of resistance. Okay, and just so I don't accidentally touch the soldering iron to the plastic of the case and melt it, I flip this around. And I'm going to try to continue going in the opposite direction. Okay, so I think that's going to do it. Let's see what it looks like in the front. Here we go. Hey, it worked. That's sweet. All right. So let's see. We tap it. Nope, it changed the time. But yeah, I did not expect that to actually work that well, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That actually worked. So I'm not even going to bother removing that strip of Kapton. I'm just going to leave it attached. And I'm just going to put the back case back on. And yeah, it looks like everything's good as long as it doesn't get disturbed. Make sure that gasket's back in its little groove there. And that's the last screw right there. Let's see. Yep, looking pretty good. And there we are. An old piece of RadioShack talking gadgetry. Looking a lot better than when we first started. And this button there certainly does look much better now. So, yeah, we're going to leave it at that. If I could avoid that glare there. All right, so made it to the end. Thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you guys around the bench.